This is a video on basic port forwarding. There are a lot of times when the computer loses internet because the router has been switched out, either because it was upgraded or because it went bad or because they got a new internet service provider. At that point, you have to go in and do the programming, or what they call networking and port forwarding, in order to allow remote view apps to still view the camera system. So if this is the case, the first thing you want to do is check and see if you have internet. So at this point, I'm unable to dial into the internet, which tells me that the IP settings are incorrect. And we can let it go and go, but it's not going to dial in. So I'm going to go ahead and exit out of that. Then I'm going to hit start, type in CMD, click enter, hit ipconfig/all, enter. So now if I scroll up, I see that our computer is set to 192.168.0.150. That .0 is the important number. So now I'm going to leave this up so that I have a record of what the old settings were. Then I'm going to go down to the taskbar, click the little icon that looks like an Ethernet tip and a screen with the yellow triangle on it. Also, if you ever see that yellow triangle, that means you don't have internet as well. So we're going to click that, hit Open Network and Sharing Center. We're going to click Local Area Connection, Properties, Internet Protocol version 4, Properties. As you can see, this computer is set to a .0 network statically. In other words, it's not going to change. So what I'm going to do is click Obtain Automatically on both of them. Then click OK. Click Close. Click Close. Now I'm going to go back to the command prompt. Hit the up arrow to copy the last command in the bar again, which is ipconfig/all. Then I'm going to hit Enter. Now if I scroll up, you notice that it has changed to 192.168.1.129. So our computer was set to a .0, but this new router is working on a .1 network. So now we have to match these settings into our computer statically in order to continue with port forwarding and be able to dial into the router. So next we're going to click Local Area Connection, Properties, Internet Protocol version 4, or TCP/IPv4 Properties. Then we're going to click Use the following IP address. And here we're going to put 192.168.1.150. Click Tab, it'll automatically fill in subnet mask. Click Tab again. Type in 192.168.1.1, tab, 192.168.1.1. Now if you notice, these settings match this, all except for the last three numbers and the IPv4 address. These will be set to a static address that you will receive from the office. Everything else is going to match perfectly to these settings. Once you've done that, you click OK, click Close, click Close. Now you can exit out of the Network and Sharing Center, and you can exit out of the command prompt window. Now we're going to bring up Internet Explorer, and we're going to type in the default gateway here, which is 192.168.1.1, which is also the address to the router. And then we're going to click Enter. Now, instead of not coming up at all, it's giving you a login screen for the router. The default for this router and most routers is going to be admin, tab, admin. So it's admin for the username and the password. Some other ones you can try are admin user, admin password, admin blank, and then there are other ones. If you can't find it, just look on the outside of the router or look it up on Google for the model of the router to find out what the username and password is. If you try all that and you still can't log in, that's because someone has changed it from the default. At that point, stop trying to do port forwarding and find the username and password to log into the server, or whoever did change the default username and password, call them if it's an IT group or someone who does their tech stuff, and have them do the port forwarding. Because if you can't log into the router, you can't do the port forwarding. So now we've done admin, we're going to click OK. This is the basic setup page for this specific router. Now a lot of these are going to be different, and you're going to have different ones come up in different things. But what you're looking for is either going to be under firewall, pinholes, or applications and gaming. In this one, it's applications and gaming. So we're going to click this. The way that this window is set up is what you're looking for when you're doing port forwarding. There are going to be many different setups, but for this class, it's a basic setup. So there are 9 ports that you need to port forward. For these purposes, I'm going to put the application name just as C1, C2, C3, C4, C5, C6, C7, C8, and C9. Here on this box and this box is where you put the first port. So for these purposes, we're going to use the default port, which is 80. Click Tab, 80. Under Protocol, you want it to be both TCP and UDP. Then to IP address, you're going to change this to the IP address of your computer, which in this case is .150. And then you're going to click this box that says Enabled. The next one you're going to do is 3388, tab 3388, tab 150. Then check the box. Then you're going to do 4550, 4550, static IP, then check the box. 5550, tab 5550, tab 150, tab, check the box. 5552, tab 5552, tab 150, then check the box. 5611, tab 5611, tab static IP in the computer, check the box. 6550, tab 6550, static IP is 150, then check the box. 8866, tab 8866, tab 150, check the box. 56000, tab 56000, tab 150, then check the box. Once you've done all these, you're going to click Save Settings. It says your settings have been successfully saved. Hit Continue. These ports will almost always be this. The only one that may change is the very first port we put in, which is 80. Sometimes if 80 is already in use for another service or the internet service provider is using that, then we will change it to 81 or 8080. If that's the case, in order to check which port it should be, you bring up the geovision software, go ahead and log in, put in your username and password, click OK. Then on the bottom right, there's a button here that says Network. Click that and click Network Port Information. This very first drop down box next to Webcam Server, you drop that down. As you can see, this computer is set to 81. not 80. So what you will end up having to do, click the Windows button or the Start menu, bring the web page back up for the router, change this to 81 here, and change this to 81 here so that it matches the software. Then hit Save Settings, Continue. Once it gives you this screen, you should be back into the network information for the router. The next thing you'll want to do is go and open up another web page and type in www.canyouseeme.org, which is CANYOUSEEME.org. Then hit enter, and you will go into Can You See Me and check each one of those ports individually. So we're going to exit out of that, close all tabs, exit out of that, and now you're back to the initial site. And that's all you need to do port forwarding.